Well, hello everyone. So this presentation is basically mostly the same as the previous one about the VDisk performance, except that this time we will show you just how to run the code. We port the code to make it easier for you to run it on your machine. So it's just a jump scale presentation of how to start the code that we just made, and a small live demo, but with less power than the previous one, just to make it quicker. So we will give you all the links that you need to find the code repository, the documentation, and everything related to what we just do. Everything is not completely finished, so you will have a working set, but some improvement will come over the time, the next few days, to make it more easier and even more quicker. That's the thing. So I will start sharing my screen at first, so you can see the most important things. So I hope that everybody remember the previous screen that we used with the monitoring stuff and the node, the VM, and I hope you saw the previous presentation, of course, otherwise there is no code. And to achieve this, the first point, the dashboard is not yet included in ZeroOS, but it's planned to include it as default monitoring system pretty soon. So you will have it out of the box for mostly any system that you will deploy. You won't need to deploy the dashboard yourself. So we won't talk about that right now. We will mostly talk about how to deploy and how to set up your environment to run the benchmark. So Andrew, if you want to introduce the configuration, maybe?
Sure. Okay, basically we are using the configuration manager provided by Jumpscale. So I created the whole thing as Jumpscale module. So when you pip install this module, you will have j.tools .benchmark.get, and you can get an instance of the client for benchmark testing. Let's say session. You guys are familiar with with Jumpscale configuration manager, I guess, right? Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Eve is not seeing the screen. Let's.
Well, I don't see the screen, but maybe it's something. Do you see it, Guido? Just to be sure.
I see a screen with a green outline and.
Yeah, the session toggle, interactive.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. That's good.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we are all familiar with Jumpscale configuration manager. So here are the configurations for the benchmark testing. We've got the amount here, the amount of virtual machines to be created on each node, the host address on which our nodes, and IPs.
The host itself is for the dashboard things, which is not yet included.
Okay. Then IPs, if we just wrote all, this means it will get all ZeroOS instances in your configuration repo and connect to them all. But you can explicitly write ZeroOS IPs, comma separated here. Okay. Then we just have this client. Here, when we provided all in IPs, we can do client.nodes. We can see here it's connected to all nodes in our configuration manager or in our configuration repo. So I think that's all from the side of configuration manager.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And here we can see we have the 10 nodes, the same 10 nodes that we had previously using for the benchmark video, for the demonstration. It's the same node. Except that this time it will take a little bit more time because we will show all the preparation behind and not just running the test. To make it quicker, we made the same configuration, but with only 4 VM and not 16 VM. That's gonna be quicker for deploying it. So basically what you just need to do is to run the test suite, which is made for the, we made the benchmark call it test. So exactly the same as we just did before, but with another configuration, just with 4 VM. And you can just run the test suite, which is related to it. It's just like this, correct? Andrew? Andrew, is that correct?
Yes. No, in this case, we are talking to the benchmark factory, correct, right? Directly. So we are supposed to do something like j.tools.benchmark.test.
Okay, let's do it. You can run it.
Yes.
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 So basically, what the test? Yeah, yes, just do it. Basically, what the setup will do. Okay, so it will at first reboot the machine to ensure that you start from scratch and without any remaining configuration or any garbage. So you are sure that we start from a clean system. Since ZeroRest is completely stateless, as soon as you reboot, you're sure that nothing will stay alive. As soon as the node is booted, we will just basically deploy the 0DB, which is the backend that we use for the virtual machine. And then configuring the 0DB and then starting virtual machine. When all virtual machines are started, just configuring it and then running the benchmark inside, grabbing the results and display the results. That's basically everything which will be done in this script. So we just need to wait. The machine behind is a Supermicro machine, which take some time to boot because the BIOS is quite long. I can see the progress here, but you won't see it. And yeah, the benchmark itself, all of this is written on documentation that will be provided after the show. All the VM will use only a single SSD, but if, for example, you have only 4 SSD and you run 16 virtual machine, some SSD will be shared between some virtual machine. Everything depends of the amount of SSD you have and the amount of virtual machine that you request. All of this is completely up to you to choose how many you want. And starting slowly. As you can see here, the VM is down because yeah, the machine is rebooting. So you know that it's actually rebooting. Yeah. In the meantime, if somebody have question, just ask because we will have a couple of minutes before everything will be starting.
So waiting for a reboot is like with Windows, right?
Yeah, except that here it's a big server. It's downloading the kernel now. Kernel is downloaded. 0 OS is starting. Networks arrives. Zero tier is connecting. Okay, so nodes should coming back slowly, and the script should pick them up. Yes. Okay, everything is connected. So as soon as all the node is connected, we'll just create an empty file system on all the SSD, just only the SSD. We don't try on HDD for the test, but this is kind of configurable too, but not yet. I don't know if it's something that you want to try. Now the virtual machine are created. Are creating, of course. So remember, we only deploy 4 virtual machines, because if you need to deploy the 16 virtual machine, it's just a little bit longer. Okay, everything is connected. So now we will just connect all the virtual machine through SSH to configure them. Yeah. Okay, we have some connection issues because the virtual machine didn't start it fast enough. Well, let's fix this later. You will probably see here that some virtual machine will come to life. Yeah. Maybe let's give the script a little bit more time to have all the virtual machine. Otherwise, it's not going to be relevant. Oh, it's quite okay. Yeah, we can see that Fio is already writing the pre-filling the file for the tests, which we'll run just after. I will restart the script with better information and less verbosity. Actually, Andrew is receiving the same screen as me, and in Egypt, the bandwidth is not really as good as here, so it slowed down a little bit everything. More VM will come to life now. Yes. So yeah, the problem is just that the VM was starting a little bit slower, and the script didn't wait it for them. That's gonna be fixed on the next couple of days. Yeah, all the VM is here now. So on the virtual machine itself, I don't remember if I did the test, if I did the explanation last time. We just create an ext4 partition inside the virtual machine, and we run FIO using a file inside the ext4. So we don't even benchmark the block device itself. We benchmark using the file system on top of it. So it's more relevant for the performance for a real life environment. But that was already the case for the previous demonstration. Okay, FIO is writing the file on the SSD, which was not yet filled. It's exactly the same FIO script as described on the previous presentation about the performance that we reached. Okay, the slow output is due to Timux and Andrew in Egypt, because he just detached and now it go faster. Okay, the benchmark is running right now. So we only have 40 VM on the overall environment and not 160 as previously. So of course the number are a little bit less high, but it's quite still good for only 4 VM per node. The read is already done. Now it's the write test. The read run is already started for some node. Okay, it reached the end. When the script is finished, we grab all the Fire report to have the exact value from Fire and not just the dashboard, which is just real-time information. And as soon as we have all the report information, we just summarize and sum everything to have the overall performance related to the environment, the cluster. And we can see that at the end we have the 1,000,003 IOPS and the 500,000 IOP. Which was basically what we saw here, but it was in real time. And here is exactly the value that we have out of the Fire result itself. This is the important numbers. So just with the config manager of Geomscale, 3 lines, and you can run the benchmark on any cluster that you want, or any system, or even a single node if you want. So you can, of course, do that. But you can even run it on 10 or 100 nodes as you want, quite easily. The link for the repository, how to install the repository, and everything will be provided just after the meeting on the markdown and the summary, of course. And that's it. If somebody have questions. No.
Maxime, that monitoring overview you showed.
Yes.
Is that something we have to bring in place ourselves, or is that available as well on the platform?
What you will need to put in place is just the interface yourself. Right now, you will anyway need to deploy the dashboard yourself, because yeah, we cannot deploy it one for you because we don't know the endpoint IP, of course, or the endpoint at all. But this is just it's really easy to deploy. It's just a Python script to run. And as soon as it's up, you will need to point to that endpoint on the config manager. Here it was 10.1.0.1, something like this. You just put your monitoring address behind, and all the nodes will send their information to that server directly.
Okay, thank you very much.
And even for the host, because right now you are monitoring the VM, we will monitor the host, and that will be integrated to ZeroOS directly. So you will be able to send an argument to through the SAL or directly on the kernel to directly monitor the node as soon as it started.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
That's planned for the release 1.3.0 of ZeroOS. Something else? No? Okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Recording.